The story of the WNBA star, Caitlin Clark, is characterized by intense play on the court and a turbulent, frequently antagonistic reception from colleagues and the company, building off of it. But when Clark moves from the hardwood to the dynamic completely changes in the fairway. Her well-known involvement in professional golf competitions, particularly the PGA and LPGA Tour Pros, offers more than just an amusing diversion during the off-season. It serves as a harsh, inevitable point of contrast that reveals the profound cultural and structural animosity festering in the WNBA. Her accomplishments in an entirely distinct, customary, the sphere that is ruled by men has been the final external confirmation, igniting what spectators believe to be a storm of jealousy that exposes a league unable to profit from its talent across generations. The present, the storyline that defines women's sports, the foundation of the economy, is not a basketball game but in a sequence of golf competitions. The return of Caitlin Clark to appearances on the Pro circuit at the Annika, which Gainbridge drove at the PGA Tour's RSM Classic and Pelican Pro, was by no means a small local non-profit occasion. It was a significant broadcast moment. The Bel Air, Florida LPGA event showed off Clark's star power. Orders. Her Annika Pro round was shown live on the Golf Channel, lasted 3 hours, followed by an encore presentation that follows. This degree of committed, ongoing media coverage is specifically the exposure that the WNBA frequently struggles to produce outside of high stakes in postseason games. Clark's, the second's presence was verified year in a row, having participated in previously with the tournament's namesake, Annika Sornam, and the current global ranking star Nelly Korda. The visibility drew enormous numbers of spectators, who comprised many young girls wearing jerseys for the Indiana Fever and carrying signs endorsing Clark. The PGA Tour. Zach Johnson, a professional, admitted the importance of this transition appeal, adding, "I adore all the nothing we would do girls with the symptoms truly observe on a typical Wednesday. It's wonderful how it draws attention to the competition." Possibly the most powerful a component of Clark's golf comeback is that she was praised by the highest levels of the customarily guarded world of men's golf. Commissioner of the PGA Tour, Jay Monahan, a manager in charge of billions in earnings, provided an evaluation of Clark's skill that several believed that the WNBA was lacking. Establishment. Monahan didn't just provide a courteous celebrity endorsement. He gave her quick praise, developed ability, saying, "You know, for a year, she's been playing seriously and a half. I've never witnessed someone in after a year and a half hit the ball like that, and she will be performing this game for a very long time," Monahan thought. Clark transcendent, stating that her superpower is humility, and she can observe that she has contributed significantly to this game in a brief duration. This affirmative commendation from a prominent person in a multi-billion-dollar sports industry serves as the final exterior validation, avoiding the requirement for a WNBA acceptance. Clark's driving skills, viewership in quite different sports, particularly one as historically confirms that it is exclusive as professional golf. Her reputation as a cultural revolutionary symbol. This cross-sport achievement significantly changes the athlete's power dynamic. Clark is proving that she does not need approval from the WNBA or persistent internal promotion to ensure enormous value, which raises her influence over the league and, most importantly, intensifies the feeling of bitterness from players whose platforms are still connected only to the infrastructure of the WNBA, emphasizing even more the dualism of the golf course and Clark's reception. acted as a platform for sincere, unreserved, internal assistance. In contrast to the external, despite criticism, Clark received strong support by Sophie, one of her Indiana Fever teammates, Lexi Hull and Cunningham, who acted as her prom guest caddies. Clark even noted in relation to performing with Nelly Corda, "I believe it merely demonstrates how much support one another can genuinely be. I've always been a strong supporter of that and encouraging women's athletics." The encouraging environment was strengthened by a moment that went viral at the prom where Sophie Cunningham struck a fan by accident using her shot. Clark discovered the circumstances so humorous, reacting to her Instagram stories. "This is among the best things I've seen," accompanied by using emojis of laughter. She was heard as well, yelling, man down," and "he's down." Cunningham was informed while laughing. This joyful and friendship between Clark and her, the immediate team, is a stark contrast to the known toxicity, harassment, and hostility documented elsewhere in the WNBA. Clark's well-known achievements in golf sharply highlights the failure of the organization and internal opposition she encounters in her own league. This dispute is frequently phrased not as a straightforward sporting rivalry but as a systemic cultural issue. The term poppy syndrome refers to aggressive actions intended to reduce those that attain exceptional success, discourage individuals from pursuing superiority. The story that was maintained by some commentators and veterans implies that working women's basketball has turned into a wasteland of mediocrity with female gatekeepers, so the sport is unchangeable. This viewpoint maintains that seasoned players see Clark's disruptive ability as a danger to the current pay scale and hierarchy framework. The presence of deeply ingrained anger is more than just conjecture. Lexi Hull, a teammate of Fever, shared a powerful acknowledgement of the envy the team confronts, in particular due to Clark. Prominent pundits have confirmed this idea, with an NBA great Charles Barkley asserting that Clark's WNBA counterparts were acting petty in her direction. The subsequent hypocrisy. The entry by Clark is noteworthy. Analysts have noted that those individuals who previously disparaged her or upheld silence now turn around and openly boast about how great women's basketball is, at last receiving its due without stating that Clark is the cause of. The league seems to be gaining greatly from the Clark effect without completely accepting or strategically using the effect source. The apparent intentional organizational slightly appears physically in the WNBA's inability to manage its most accurate use of a valuable brand asset. The WNBA's official social media pages received harsh criticism for frequently failure to successfully market Clark and, most damningly, constantly spelling the league's name incorrectly. Greatest celebrity. These mistakes weren't isolated occurrences. They were a systemic, inadequate branding and focus on specifics. Kilton is one example. On the official list, Clark was spelled incorrectly. October saw the publication of the WNBA team's graphic. 2024. KTO and Clark made the same mistake, reiterated on a WNBA official Twitter survey in November of 2025. Cato and Clark was misrepresented on an on-screen televised image in May of 2025 game. The response from fans to these errors was characterized as more worn out and irritated than just furious, as though these supporters had nearly begun to anticipate another of these errors. This institutional, unable to spell the name of the player in charge of operating one out of every 6 tickets purchased during the experts interpret the league as confirmation and financial self-sabotage that the WNBA organization is having trouble with operational competency and foolish reasoning. The cost of strategy of this subpar branding is enormous. The frequent misspellings are a sign of a more profound inability to identify and safeguard the league's most valuable commercial real estate. This operational error supports the story that the WNBA establishment is giving priority to internal disputes about its financial product, verifying remarks that the league was unable to take advantage of its a Michael Jordan moment, the WNBA's errors, and a seeming unwillingness to encourage her achievements and defend Clark's concentrate on outside opportunities. The golfer's admiration and committed media coverage in a world of golf stands in strong opposition to the NBA's alleged slight, confirming Clark's method of exhibiting allegiance to the business associates such as Gainbridge who be mindful of her worth. The rationale such drama is sparked by Clark's return to golf is that it has a direct intersection with the enormous, previously unheard of financial value she contributes to sports for women. The envy is not only private, it is connected to the worry that her own achievements may overshadow the professions and contributions of well-known WNBA players. Clark is unquestionably an economic engine for basketball for women. Data demonstrates that approximately 1 in 6 tickets sold in the WNBA can be ascribed directly to the effect of Caitlin Clark. This significant growth in the industry increases ratings, draws larger audiences, flourishing sales of goods, which should eventually result in increased pay and increased league funding for all of them. But the internal resentment is exacerbated by the shock of her market value as an individual. Reports imply that Clark's market value is astronomical, asserting that she could an incredible offer for millions of dollars from global leagues. In particular, reports emerge indicating Clark might be 10 times more valuable than any more WNBA player that has heard about a possible $50 million agreement from abroad. This disparity in income produces a poisonous setting where players might see Clark's victory is not a lifting tide all boats, but as a danger to their personal heritage and a reminder of their comparatively lower market value in comparison to this one disruptive force. The response from well-known players, especially MVPs and prominent veterans, has been closely examined. The revelation of Clark's exorbitant valuation, stars like a jaw were set right away. Wilson, the MVP of the league, entered the challenging situation of appearing to be in light of Clark's extrinsic worth. Reports described the purported Wilson and Angel Reese outbursts after learning of Clark's finances, achievements, including accounts of a monster LPGA agreement. Apart from social media stories, there were public statements of disapproval like the reported dispute over eye rolls or other disputes throughout league competitions. The degree of dispute increased so important that Kathy, the DNEA commissioner, Engelbert, felt obliged to speak about the scenario in public, discussing how Clark's peers were mistreating her. Clark's frequent high-profile involvement in non-basket high-value occasions such as the LPGA Prom validate a intentional approach. She is making use of her brand in settings where she is honored and handled in accordance with her worth. The return on golf is essentially a power struggle over money. Clark controls the golf course at all times, draws attention and sells tickets in. She strengthens her market in another sport,